You know, the only thing Donald Trump truly cares about is the size of the crowds he can draw. It's all about ratings, it's all about what kind of crowd he can draw. He lost the popular vote twice. He's made every excuse in the world as to why that happened. When he doesn't have people show up at his events, he immediately starts making excuses as to why they're not there. And now he's upset because there's not more protesters outside the trial in New York. He wants people to be out there protesting and, kicking up a fuss for him because it's all about him and his ego. The funny thing is, though, in New York, people sees through his bullshit and they're not there. They're not there supporting him. But of course, he's making excuses as to why they're not there, which is all bullshit again. And D Knight's here to talk to us more about it. Folks, remember, go over to D Knight's YouTube channel and check it out. It is Pardon the Insurrection podcast. He's here today to talk about Donald Trump and his massive ego.
Hey, this is D Knight from the Pardon the Insurrection podcast, coming to you from Nashville, Tennessee, courtesy of Mr. Tennessee Brando. Let's put some respect on that man's name. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Let's go ahead and help him get to 200,000 subscribers. And if you don't hit the subscribe button, I might be inclined to believe that you are insurrectionists. And we don't want that, do we? No, we don't. So go ahead and hit the subscribe button. And in case you missed it, Trump is having an extraordinarily rough day. Well, he's having a string of extraordinarily rough days as he's on trial for his criminal attempts to interfere in the 2016 election by using his company to launder hush money payments to a porn star to silence the story of their affair right before the 2016 election, which possibly could have caused him to lose, considering he already received fewer votes than Hillary Clinton. It probably wouldn't have turned out well if that story had gone public, but the judge is irate with Trump's lawyers as they're attempting to paper over Trump's multiple violations of the gag order in this case. He's saying they're losing all credibility. That's not a good sign. Also, Trump is getting screwed by a man named David Pecker. You can't make that up. Like the jokes, they just write themselves. A Pecker, a porn star, and a former president walk into a courtroom. It's absolutely insane. He is detailing in depth the criminal conspiracy that himself, Michael Cohen, and Trump entered into in a meeting in Trump Tower in 2015, where Pecker would use his organization and his media outlets to catch and kill damaging stories about Trump during the 2016 election, as well as promote harmful stories about Trump's opponents, no matter how true or untrue those stories may be. It's very colluding behavior. If you're unfamiliar with the investigation into Trump's ties with Russia during the 2016 campaign, it's very similar activity all the way down to the meeting in Trump Tower. Can't make that up. But the developments over the course of the trial aren't the only thing that Trump is concerned about. No. He's also concerned about something far more important to him, like where are his supporters.
And again, what's going on is a disgrace. Now, it's interesting outside for great Americans, people that want to come down and they want to protest at the court and they want to protest peacefully. We have more police presence here than anyone's ever seen. For blocks, you can't get near this courthouse.
Oh, that's very interesting. You say the police have everything barricaded off for blocks and no one can get to the building. Let's get to some video from NBC's Vaughn Hilliard for confirmation. Uh-oh. It looks as though it's not the police keeping Trump supporters away. It is the supporters themselves who are refusing to show up and come to Trump's aid at his beck and call. Apparently, he does not hold nearly as much sway over them as he once did in 2020 when he called them to come to the Capitol on January 6th because it, quote, will be wild. And then after his rally at the Ellipse, he sent them off to the Capitol and away they went. An attack they did. But this is not Trump's only call for his supporters to show up and protest. He's recently made statements, even over the past day or two, calling upon his supporters to engage in a number of protests all across the country. And this is from one of his Truth Social posts where he appears to be extraordinarily jealous of Palestinian protesters, where he says that even they and even rioters are allowed to roam the cities, scream, shout, sit, block traffic, and enter buildings, not get permits, and basically do whatever they want, including threatening Supreme Court justices right in front of their homes. And yet, people who truly love our country and want to make America great again are not allowed to, quote, peacefully protest, and are rudely and systematically shut down and ushered off to faraway holding areas, essentially denying them their constitutional rights. America-loving protesters should be allowed to protest at the front steps of courthouses all over the country, just like it is allowed for those who are destroying our country on the radical left. A two-tiered system of, I'm sorry, look, it's difficult to not read these things in his voice because you know how he would say it. And then he goes on to say, go out and peacefully protest, rally behind Maga, save our country. The only thing you have to fear is fear itself, and none of them are listening. On the one hand, and maybe we should credit the Department of Justice in their efforts to do everything in their power to lock up the individuals who were on the ground on January 6th attacking the Capitol. It appears as though their efforts have been rewarded by providing a deterrence to Trump supporters to engage in mass violence. So, yes, while it did take a while for them to move up the chain to the higher ups in that regard, at least their efforts have resulted in some positive outcomes. Also, again, it's been reported over the last couple of years, especially even since Trump announced that he might be indicted in New York last year, that a number of Trump supporters were wary of showing up and heeding Trump's calls to come out and protest because they were afraid that it was a trap set by the FBI. No idea why they would believe that, as it is literally Trump himself calling upon his supporters to show up and protest on his behalf. Maybe they think he is part of the FBI sting operation. I don't understand the logic there, but it appears as though all of the people who pretend to support Trump to the degree that they were willing to attack the Capitol on January 6th ain't showing up, and it is getting to Trump. It is driving him crazy. In fact, we've reached the point where even just a couple of days ago, outside of the courthouse, the counter protests were bigger than the Trump supporters' protests.
No one is above the law. No one is above the law. Trump is not above the law. Trump is not above the law.
And if Trump is irate about the lack of turnout from his supporters, I can only imagine how he must feel about the lack of turnout from his own family. As his lawyer Todd Blanche explained in his opening statements, that Trump is, your average everyday family guy. Maybe if your idea of a family guy is Peter Griffin, saying that Trump is, a family man and he'll do anything to protect his family and like you and me and every other American. Well, if that's the case, where are his family members? Where are his sons? Where are his daughters? Where's Barron? Where's Eric? Where's Don Jr.? Where's Ivanka? Where's the other one? I too don't know all of his children's names. So, and I guess in that regard, I am like Trump. Most importantly, where's his wife? Where's Melania? Because you would expect that if Trump's lawyers are going to convince the jury to believe Trump hadn't engaged in this affair with Stormy Daniels, it's very hard to pull that off, considering it doesn't appear as though his wife believes him. Otherwise, she'd probably be there to support him. What is Melania doing instead, you ask?
I don't know if this is bizarre, but I'll let you know of it. Former First Lady Melania Trump recently released a Mother's Day themed necklace over the weekend. Retails for about $245. You can find the necklace on Melania's website. Each one will include her signature on the back of it. But what happens with the money made from the necklace, that is unclear, since the website does not say where the proceeds will go.
She should keep the money.
She should keep the money?
Of course she should.
Former First Lady, though? You don't think it should be donated somewhere? Or?
Oh, well, she could I'm just saying she should decide what to happen with it, not that it should go to the campaign.
Okay.
Well, the former
Like the
president
tennis
probably cut her off, and so she's selling this.
Oh, come on, Scott. Come on, Scott.
Of course, in the spirit of anyone with the last name Trump, she would be engaged in a grift, not unlike the $400 Air Fraud 1 sneakers that Trump was trying to hawk a few weeks ago. But I can only imagine how heartbreaking it must be for Trump to be facing such a dire set of circumstances with the election and quite possibly his freedom on the line and no one there to support him. Not his fans, not his voters, no family, no loved ones, no kids, no wife, no mistress. Well, I guess his mistress is there. So at least he has that. And if you enjoyed this content, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Also, feel free to leave your thoughts in the comments below. Give it a thumbs up because that absolutely helps the algorithm get this in front of more people. And you can also find me on my personal podcast, Pardon the Insurrection, available everywhere podcasts are found, also on YouTube. And you can check out pardontheinsurrection.com.